Here we are again. Hopefully, everyone can hear me all right. If not, let me know. I've been using this stuff on my lips because they're dry, so that's why they're shiny. I know it looks weird, but they always crack and it hurts. Anyway, okay. Man, how do I see the chat on? I wish I could see the chat on the PC stream, but I don't know how to do that, so. Whoops. Okay, let's get to it. Jump right into it. Physiology and histology. We've got not too much today, but not that little either. We have the ear, physiology of the ear. So sound waves lead to a mechanical, what's the word? Reception, I guess. And then they lead to a nerve impulse. So the ear is very complex. There's a cochlear duct, there's a sacculus, there's a utriculus, there's a membranous ampulla, and a semicircular, well, membranous ampulla, and then there are semicircular canals. And those are all part of the membranous labyrinth of the ear. And then there's something called a bony labyrinth, which consists of the scala vestibuli. Hey, Hunter Vance. Scala vestibuli and scala tympani, or scala tympani, which makes sense because timpani is a type of drum, and we're talking about the ear, so it could be relating to do with the eardrum. And then there's the vestibule, and then there's the semicircular canals. Hey, Junebug. Yeah, this is already pretty complex, and I don't. Well, anyway. Where am I from? United States. Gotta go, Hunter. Well, thanks for tuning in. Okay, there's something called the stapes. I think that's how you say it. The stapes. There's the incus, and then there's the manubrium of the malleus. Manubrium of the malleus. These are all ear structures again. Animals can be deaf as a result of problems with these bones slash structures. But the manubrium of the malleus is what you see when you look through an otoscope. So if you've ever had a doctor look through an otoscope into your ear, otoscope, odo meaning ear, scope meaning see, I guess. You can use the otoscope to look in many places. You can use it to look in the mouth, the nose, because it's just a scope with a light basically. But you are seeing the manubrium of the malleus whenever you use it in the ear. And then there's the vestibular nerve and the cochlear nerve. Those are relating to the ear. Cochlear is the hearing nerve, basically, sensory, I guess. And then vestibular nerve is for proprioception, being able to hear where it's weird being able to hear where you are. It doesn't make too much sense, maybe, but when animals have a non-functioning vestibular nerve, they move weirdly, strangely, funnily. Okay, so this is something good to know. A dog brain is very small in comparison to ours, but it's got a lot of muscle surrounding it. I wish I could show this picture. Um, but the cochlear duct, I think, is it's similar to a snail's shell. It curls around, or a hermit crab. Yeah, that's the college I'm going to right now for vet school. Good at football. I don't know about that, but they're trying. I don't think they've won a single game since they changed coaches. Do a jumping jack, and I will subscribe. There you go. Okay. Scala vestibuli, scala tympani, tympany, sensory organ. Oh, okay. SV. So there's like a graph here, and it says SV equals scala vestibuli, ST equals scala. So these are just labeling. Again, I can't show these resources because I don't own them, and I don't have permission to show them. So they're copyrighted, pretty sure. But this is more for, I mean, I do enjoy teaching. What field of medicine am I studying? So this is veterinary medicine, but in specific, right now I'm going over physiology and histology. Sup from New Jersey, say the Philadelphia Eagles are the best, and I promise I'll like and sub. Well, I said it in that sentence, so there you go. Kurt Bow, that's crazy. I'm not reading that. All right. Okay. Thank you, Fife. Appreciate you. All right. Yeah, okay, that's just more about that graph. So the cochlear duct is very similar to the intracellular fluid found in brain cells. Um, Go birds. Here, I'll hold on. Okay, I'll just say it. The Philadelphia Eagles are the best. There you go. I didn't want to be a lame-o and just say that I said it in the sentence, but there you go. Is that a NFL team, or is that? I'm sorry, I'm not very good with sports. I just have this shirt because I went to Goodwill and bought. It was it was like $5 or $7. Fits me pretty all right. I'm not much of a football guy. I'm not even much of a sports guy anymore. Okay, NFL. Yeah, yeah. The last sport that I was really into was baseball, and my favorite team was the Chicago Cubs. And yeah, that was like in 2015, 16, all the way up until 19. And they won the World Series in 16. That was kind of cool. Apparently, they haven't done that in a long time before then. So my dad was really happy. My grandpa got to witness it before he passed away. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, cochlear duct It's high in potassium, like intracellular fluid, not intercellular. Intra. You look like the guy who plays the mascot guy in Chad Powers' show. Really? I don't even know who Chad Powers is, but that's pretty cool. Ah, out of water. Google it. All right, I might, or I probably will. I gotta remember that. I'll Google it. Let me write that down. Hmm. Give me a second here. Fizz and histo. How's the sound? Can you guys hear everything fine on here? I'm not sure how it is on my laptop stream, but hopefully it's not too bad. I don't know how to see the chat on my laptop stream, so um, thank you, Fife. I appreciate you. Thank you for the. That sounds like I'm frying eggs. Oh man, I wish I had better better mic quality. The G in LGBT stands for Jesus. I wish Jesus is definitely needed more in this world, and teaching of Him and truth in the Bible. Here's a tip, y'all: read the whole Bible. Don't just pick and choose verses. Read the whole Bible. Understand the whole Bible. Obey the Word of God. Do exactly what it says. Don't say, "Oh, that part's metaphor. Oh, that part's." Here, I'll Google it right now, so I don't forget. I was gonna do it later, but I'll do it right now. What's his name again? Sean, or no, Chad Powers. Really? You think I look like this guy? Wow. Well, gee, thanks. There was a lot of here. There was a lot of pictures. I don't know which one's which, but um, yeah, that's pretty cool. um, Thanks, man. Man, I just don't know how to. What is the chat? How do I open the chat on my? Well, maybe I can. I see. Give me a second, y'all. I'm going to try and see. Frankie A. Rodriguez. I'm going to look him up. What? Why does images send me to another site? Come on. Are you kidding me? It didn't used to do that. Why does it take so long to load? Hold on. It's taking ages to load. Page unresponsive. Okay. Well, there's some really small pictures, but I can see what you mean. Yeah, he's got like dark hair. Ah, these pictures are so small. There we go. Hey, yo, he's like wearing makeup in that one. That's kind of, well, in my opinion, makeup's weird all the way around. I don't care if you're a girl. Well, okay. I'm not gonna judge. I'll try not to, but yeah, I don't like makeup. I said it. It's nasty. Anyway, that's yeah. I used to think LGBT meant let's get this bread, but first of all, that's not even the right order of letters, and second of all, that's not what it means. Uh, but anyway, let's see if I can. Arcturian Prince, I am Jesus. I don't know about that. Hard time believing that. I doubt Jesus watches YouTube. Well, I mean, he watches everything, but anyway. Hey, Yao. How in the world do I see my stream chat? Maybe this will work. Okay, that is not what I'm meaning to do. Okay, let's see how I... No, that's not right. Well... Is that how they do it? I don't think so. No, that's not right. That's not how it works. Okay, whatever. I don't really have time for this. Gotta get back to this. So the cochlear duct has more potassium than sodium, and then the scala tympani has more sodium than, did I say potassium? Potassium. In humans, it's called the scala media, but that is equivalent to the cochlear duct in animals. Okay. And there's endolymph in the cochlear duct, while there is perilymph in the... Okay, it's the scala vestibuli. Well, there's two different spots. There's the scala vestibuli right outside the cochlear duct, adjacent to the vestibular membrane, and then there is the scala tympani, or tympani, on the other side. They're both full of perilymph, though, full of sodium ions. Intermediate cells and adrenal gland cells come from the neural crest cells. And if you don't produce enough endolymph, it can result in deafness. So that can be a reason why animals are deaf. So there's intracellular, well, endolymph in the cochlear duct, perilymph in the scala tympani and scala vestibuli. All right. And then animals, they were talking a little bit about how animals with blue eyes can have hearing problems or something. Very, very interesting. Figuring out about that, but yeah, there's these two histograph or these two histologies side by side, and it's no wonder the one above as a normal cat cochlea, hears just fine, and then there's a deaf puppy below a histology of the cochlea, and there's no vestibular membrane. I mean, everything's wrong. There's no the tectorial membrane looks atrophied. Vestigial almost. Yeah, bad news. And then there's something called a spiral organ, also called the organ of Corti. Alright, moving on. There's something. Oh, and something to know about the tectorial membrane is that it's high in sugar and low in protein. And then there's the kinocilium, which is 9 plus 0, which means non-modal cilia. If it's 9 plus 2, then it's modal, but these are non-modal cilia. These are the little hairs that your ear cells, or that your ears have, and when they degenerate, you lose your hearing because they don't transmit the sound anymore. Horrible. Inner hair cells are pure afferent, and then outer hair cells are afferent and efferent. Okay. Sound waves travel in the scala vestibuli. They cause the basilar membrane to deviate. And then pillar cells form a hinge point or fulcrum. They deflect the stereocilia, which leads to nerve impulses. And then they travel via the cochleovestibular nerve to the brainstem and auditory cortex. All right. So in the basilar membrane, near the basal turn, there is high frequency sound. That's moving the lower parts. And then near the apical turn, which is low frequency sound. So low frequency moves the higher parts of this basilar membrane, and then high frequency moves the lower parts. High frequency moves lower parts, low frequency moves higher parts. Okay. Yes. A lot more structures. Macula of saccule, sacculus, utriculus, macula of utricle, ampullated semicircular canals. Wow. Animals get their sense of orientation many ways. There's multiple inputs. And animals with vestibular problems, they will display a head tilt, like their head will be tilting to one side for some reason. For example, there was this mouse that we were shown in class, not in class, but like a video. Um, where as it was on the ground, it was fine. It was walking and moving around just fine, but its head was tilted, and so he was walking around like this. But then, if you picked it up by its tail or something, it would like spin around crazily. Hey, Aiden, good to see you again. How you doing, man? Trying to get number one, huh? How you doing? And but it was weird that mouse. Um, it would just like all it had was vestibular problems. Um, hey, True Skills. How was class? Oh, not bad. It was short. It's usually shorter on Wednesdays, only 2 or 3 hours. That day it was three. Um, yeah, we so our 8 a.m. class was canceled. We ended up having a 9 a.m., a 10 a.m., and then the 10 a.m. class went into 12, I think. So it wasn't too bad. Today, though, I'm gonna be there from 8 to 5. So that's not doesn't sound as bad as it is, or it doesn't. It's not as bad as it sounds, though. Um, I can't believe I said it doesn't sound as bad as it is. No, it's because I've got three classes, so three 1 hour classes, 8 to 8:50, 9 to 9:50, 10 to 10:50, and then 2 hour lunch break, which is crazy, but I don't even eat lunch, so I just use it to rest and stuff. And then after that, I've got anatomy lecture, which is 1 to 1:50, and then an hour and a half break because we don't go first this week in lab, and then from 3:30 to 5. No, wait, I've got a 4 hour break, I think, today. I think. And we're in lab from 3 to 5. So, hey Aiden, are probiotic good for your dog? Probiotics? I don't know. I'm not a veterinarian, but not yet at least. But uh generally they're just not necessary from what I've experienced. I mean, this is human because so human medicine and animal medicine are very, very similar because we're animals, we're mammals. I mean, a liver is a liver, a kidney is a kidney, but probiotics are generally not necessary. You're going to naturally have a gut flora, and if you're eating the proper diet, so for example, a proper human diet, uh, for what that is, I would go look up Dr. Ken Berry. He's very knowledgeable in that regard. But a proper dog diet is very similar to that of a human. As a matter of fact, I was able to look at the size of their cecum in lab, anatomy lab, as we were inspecting our cadaver, and they have a larger cecum than we do, it would seem. So they have probably more capacity to digest plants than we do. I don't eat plants. I eat pretty much a 100% strict carnivore diet 90% of the time. Sometimes I sometimes I'll have an ice cream or whatever. Hey Barbara, how you doing? You going to Bel Ray, or is that what that's called? It's in Metro Denver. I don't know. I've never heard of that. Pro and prebiotics are a great thing since they do baby taking. Um, you're welcome, Russell. Yeah, just in general, I would say just make sure well, I guess talking about your dog, just feed it a proper dog diet, which is, oh, okay, True Skills. Which, which one? Sorry. Out of water. I gotta go refill it at the school because our water's not the best here. I mean, it's not horrible, but anyway. Last two of three. Since the dog may be taking Annie. Uh, but anyway, what I would say a proper dog diet is probably not kibble. Because, I mean, would you want to eat kibble? I've tried it before. It's not that good. It's really not that good. There's certain kinds of kibbles that are better, and I understand. Okay, they're convenient, very very convenient, because they're dry, right? Yeah. What was dog food pre World War II? That's a good question. That's a question every dog owner should ask themselves because guaranteed back then it was probably healthier. Now they're putting stuff like sawdust in it to make it cheaper, um, fillers. Like the first three ingredients should not be anything relating to a plant. If any of the first three ingredients are, I don't know, ground corn or whatever, probably not a high quality kibble. What's barf? I've heard of that before. It's biologically appropriate raw food. That's what it's called. Um, so feeding your animal raw meat is generally okay. Just there are some consequences that could result. There always could be a chance of, parasites, bacteria. Yeah, I mean, that's what wolves do, though. That's what animals in the wild do, is they eat raw food. And so generally it's going to be safe because our dogs are very, very similar to wild animals. Um, they're still, their digestive tract is largely the same, hasn't really changed. And but generally speaking, you don't really need to feed it raw. You can cook it. It's going to make it warmer, which is generally going to make it more palatable for your animal since, again, that's another thing, is in the wild they're used to eating their prey warm instead of cold. But at the same time, cooking meat makes a lot of the nutrients more bioavailable, somewhat. There are some nutrients that can get destroyed with cooking. Think think a medium rare steak or a rare steak, right? There's that middle part that's raw and then the outside is seared. That's what I think is delicious and probably the most nutritious for me, so it's likely that it's pretty nutritious for a dog or cat as well. Now cats are a little special. They've got they cannot, excuse me, they cannot produce certain vitamins. They're more carnivore than we or dogs are. When's the last time I did a parasite cleanse, parasite cleans, or a heavy metal detox? Well, I don't think I've done a heavy metal detox, nor have I personally done a parasite cleanse. I've seen it done on an animal though. We usually, what has happened, it's okay. I think I got what you meant. But in the clinic, we would give them Pyrantel, I think that's what it's called, Pyrantel. If they've got worms like hookworms or whipworms, and it pretty much gets rid of them all. There's different treatment though if they've got heartworms. I think we give them ivermectin. But yeah, very, very common. Parasites are very common in dogs, actually. Not so much common in us because we don't eat poop. Animals eat poop. So, okay, moving back to this. Periosteum means on top of the bone. Auditory ossicles. Then there's the pinnae of the ear. That's literally these things right here, the pinnae. They direct sound into the ear. Yeah. I don't know. There's like ceruminous glands. There's all sorts of glands and stuff that I don't exactly know. Thank you, True Skills. I appreciate you stopping by. It is good to talk to you again. Have a great rest of your day, man. And yeah, stay blessed, man. Have a good one. That's it for physiology and histology. Now, see you later, man. Good to have you. Good to have you here. All right. Next, we had immunology. And that was pretty much it for the day. We had physiology and histology and then immunology. Okay. Ooh, and over here. This is pretty complex. All this stuff I'm about to talk about. Type 3. Yes, this is, I'm basically going over what I learned yesterday. That's what that means. I could probably make it a little bit more straightforward. I can say 10, 22, 2025 content, maybe. Maybe that would make more sense instead of dating the stream a day early. Because when it's dated a day early, then, like you mentioned, it makes it seem like I, I think today's the 22nd instead of the 23rd or something like that. But yeah, what I meant was that it is. I don't know. What was I saying? I'm going over stuff from yesterday. Anyway. Okay. So there's the glomerulus and the kidneys. Uh, they filter out blood waste like BUN and excuse me, BUN and creatinine. Those are waste products, common waste products. Protein is often can often be filtered by the kidneys. Uh, However, for blood to be filtered, it needs to be able to fit through the holes in the glomerulus. Okay. So immune complexes are an immune process. They can lead to inflammation by activating complement, and that can damage cells. It's chemotactic for neutrophils. And then macrophages have Fc receptors for complement. Macrophages release inflammatory mediators. This results in more neutrophil accumulation. And this inflammation is usually centered on vessel walls, which leads to vasculitis. Fibrinoid vasculitis is a characteristic finding. Vasculitis is characterized classically by red spots everywhere. Like on your legs, they're just covered in red spots. Almost looks like, I mean, I've never seen chicken pox, but well, I don't know. It's red spots, and it's due to damaged blood vessels or low platelet count. What causes parvo in dogs? Well, parvo is caused by parvovirus. It's a virus. Usually, well, it's almost always, I think, in puppies. I could be wrong on any of this information. But yeah, usually it's puppies. They get sick, and it can be very harmful to them because it causes diarrhea, vomiting. It's got a characteristic smell to the diarrhea and the vomit. You can just tell. I've never smelled it before. I can't tell you what it smells like, but they can get really sick and die because they're losing a lot of fluid. I think that's the reason. It's not necessarily because of the virus. It's just they can get so dehydrated, and as a result of them not being able to keep stuff down, they just vomit up everything they drink, and so they just die of dehydration, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with parvo too much, but I've heard about it, and I've seen like one case in a clinic, and it was far away because we had to stay away because it's contagious. So type 3 antigens are soluble. The immune reactant is IgG or IgM. The effector is complement or neutrophils and macrophages. You bought a puppy from a breeder that had parvo, and she lived. That's good. It's very survivable with the right treatment. I'm glad to hear that your puppy lived. That's awesome. Is she still alive today? Are there any complications, anything that she still deals with, or serum sickness. Oh yeah. My grandmother also had a dog. Her name was Annie. She had parvo when she was a puppy. She had to like eat food a special way thereafter. It messed up her GI tract, but she lived a good long life. Um, Glomeruli, synovial membranes, small membranes, purpura hemorrhagica in a horse. Wow. Happens due to chronic inhalation of antigens. Hypersensitivity pneumonitis. Hmm. Also called farmer's lung in humans. Type 4 hypersensitivity reactions. Oh, yeah. Type 4. There's false positives, false negatives. You want to avoid false positives when testing. For example, when you're testing for a cow or a steer or any kind of cattle that has bovine tuberculosis, you can get false positives. And if you've got a false positive, you want to know, because how they thank you, Barbara, for tuning in. I hope you have a good day too. Um, yeah, I'm studying, but it's good to have you here, and so have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. But anyway, the bovine tuberculosis, if if one of the if one animal out of the herd has it, you've got to cull the whole herd basically, or quarantine them somehow, because otherwise they're all going to get infected, and it's not good for business, unfortunately. And so if you've got a false positive, you don't just want to go off that and slaughter the whole herd. You've got to what's the word? You've got to make sure, or else you're just killing a bunch of healthy animals. Not a good idea. Other examples of a type 4 hypersensitivity is poison ivy. Getting contact with poison ivy, you get that swelling. That's type 4. Contact dermatitis, contact hypersensitivity. Yeah. Alright, and then there's just a bunch of stuff here mentioning how veterinarians work, how they do their differential diagnosis and all that, but I don't really have time for that. I gotta go. Anyway, Okay, well, that's pretty much all for today. Thank you all for tuning in, and I appreciate y'all. It's good to see familiar people again, and thanks for watching. So, I'll probably stream again tomorrow morning. Alrighty. Thanks for watching. See y'all in the next one.